Guys, I rang the bell. You can stop attacking me now. Time to do the church thing.
Oh, la campana.
Es hora de rezar. Tenemos que irnos.
As I'm recording this vid, All Hallows Eve is once again right around the corner, which also means that I've been running this channel, mixing game reviews with a bit of theology for around a year now. So many thanks to all of you who have joined me for this journey. Cultic's second chapter was released last month, delivering a whole new campaign, and while this one is not really a horror game, it serves up plenty of spooky moments. It also makes you wonder, isn't every religion really just a cult that's gained social acceptance? You play as a detective who's gone rogue to hunt down members of a murderous cult. Though, given all the death you'll be dealing, it could be that your own character is the most dangerous radical of them all. You'll definitely feel dangerous once you get your bearings in Cultic, as this retro-styled FPS has some very satisfying gunplay. Games like this tend to be called boomer shooters, though I'm not totally on board with that naming convention. For one thing, I strongly suspect that most of us who were big into titles like Doom and Duke Nukem back in the 90s, the majority were likely Gen Xers like myself, rather than boomers, though some apply that latter term to anyone above the age of 14. That issue aside, the boomer shooter description tends to apply to those FPS games made with pre-Half-Life or perhaps pre-Call of Duty sensibilities, focusing less on lived-in settings or set-piece moments, and more on fast, back-to-basics action for people who don't mind some key hunting. A large number of indie titles have sought to capture that old-school feel, with many being pretty good. I've enjoyed titles like Dusk and Ion Fury and Proteus, but for me the very best of these games would have to be Sulaco and today's title, Cultic. I'll be focusing on Chapter 2 today, but much of what I have to say applies to the first chapter as well. I love the look of this game, which combines atmospheric lighting with a highly stylized, limited color palette, and plenty of chunky pixels and voxels. It absolutely feels like a low-budget horror film from the 70s or 80s, though I was somewhat hoping that those limited colors would include a little less brown in Chapter 2. There's still a whole lot of browns and grays here. Think of that opening village in Resident Evil 4. A lot of Cultic's environments echo the vibe of that game, as does the axe-hurling enemies, and even the resource management can feel similar at times. This is a title that wears its inspirations on its sleeve, with the dynamite and the cultists themselves evoking blood, while your fur-lined jacket could have been stolen out of Leon Kennedy's closet. Nonetheless, the result is quite distinct. Those inspirations don't prevent Cultic from feeling like its own game. Blood is a legitimate classic, but I, for one, am rather glad not to be facing as many hit-scan enemies here. Your arsenal is standard fare, but as I mentioned earlier, just about every weapon feels really satisfying, especially when landing a headshot or catching a pack of enemies with a dynamite blast. Chapter 2 introduces a few new guns, like the revolver and the pump-action shotgun, which don't dramatically change things up, but fit naturally enough alongside your other tools of destruction. Do be aware that there's a lot of pixelated carnage in this title, though it leans heavily into the cartoony side of things, with touches such as goofy eyeballs popping out and hooded heads that you can toss as projectiles. There's actually a lot that you can grab and interact with, as these stages are filled with props and also with secrets. Things will occasionally slow down and shift the focus to exploration, or just to building tension, laying on a thick atmosphere for those moments when the game delivers some scares. In one of the second chapter's more memorable stages, for instance, there's even a section which feels ripped right out of the back rooms, or perhaps condemned. One of the more common complaints about Chapter 1 was that the campaign felt a little too easy, and it seems that was addressed, as I did notice more difficulty spikes earlier on in Chapter 2. It's still nothing that's crazy hard, but I definitely racked up more deaths this time around. I probably should have put more time into mastering the improved dodging mechanics sooner than I did. Those scares I mentioned, Chapter 2 has more of those as well, with quite a few tense scenes, heightened by some wonderfully disturbing sounds as things build toward a frightful climax. In one farmhouse I visited, you travel between two realities, past and present, with discoveries you make in the past having haunting effects in the present home. It's good stuff, and there's a lot of it. This is a beefy new campaign. So, altogether, I don't have much to complain about here. I mentioned Sulaco earlier, and Cultic's enemy AI definitely falls short of those heights. But that is a high bar to measure up to, and this game isn't trying to be a tactical shooter. Cultic could still use a few more unique bosses and maybe a few more colors. But overall, if it looks like you would enjoy this one, you probably will. What I highly doubt you would enjoy, however, is joining an actual cult. As a Catholic priest, I myself am sometimes accused of promoting just that, as if Catholicism were but a pernicious cult. Between those groups and authentic religions, what is it that separates the two? That separation is not always stark, as a cult-like faction may spring up within a broader religion. I recall hearing of a priest who broke ties with his bishop and led a community to buy up all the homes in a certain neighborhood, then walling it off, storing up food and ammunition for the imminent end times. So those lines, they can get blurred, but I do think there is some truth to the old adage. The difference between a religion and a cult is what happens when you try and leave. Members of one widely espoused belief system may take issue with this, but generally speaking, if questioning things or deciding to walk away, if that carries with it the risk not just of words that might harm your feelings, but rather of actual physical harm, then you're probably in a cult. The real God is not afraid of our questions. In my own journey, I likely would never have come to know and value the faith the way I do, were it not for the fact that I questioned and doubted and even walked away from all religion for a time. So long as we leave the door somewhat open, God can use even our skepticism to draw us into deeper understanding. Also, courage is a virtue, one which flies in the face of punishing apostates. If leaving your faith takes more courage than practicing it, then that should tell you something. Are you being forged into someone more courageous or someone more cowardly? Then there's what this says about God, who logically has nothing to lose or to gain from your allegiance. Well, discouragement makes sense. Separation from God is the definition of hell, and we don't wish that upon anyone. Nonetheless, walking away is its own punishment. We're talking about an omnipotent existence who can make anything happen with a mere thought. God has no need of servants or slaves. And while some saints do use that kind of poetic language, the dynamic which Christ himself puts forth, a father-child dynamic, ought to be primary, as a master-servant dynamic either makes God look needy or risks obscuring the fact that we are the prime beneficiaries. It is we who have everything to lose or to gain. Getting back to the practical implications, beyond threatening your life, leaving a cult may also endanger your livelihood, even if you work for an organization with no connection to that group. Cults have, for instance, been known to blackmail people. They may collect dirt on you, or they may create that dirt, say, invite you to a party where things of an illegal nature are happening, and then photograph you in a compromising position, later using that material to control you. So these groups do not just let you walk away. But another telling sign is secrecy. When playing Cultic, you occasionally come across letters written by cult members, and a few of them give a glimpse into this. In Chapter 1, I remember finding one such letter in which the cultist had been lured in, thinking, hey, these guys are fun to grab a drink with, I'm making connections, and this talk of self-empowerment sounds fine. But as he's drawn deeper in, he realizes, wait a second, these people are into some really messed up stuff, and now it may not be safe for me to leave. It almost made me feel sorry for some of the crazy cultists that I was blasting. Cults almost never practice transparency about the full extent of their creed. There's a surface-level body of beliefs which they may share with the public, usually pretty benign, nice-sounding stuff. But only when you're on the inside do you discover what the group is really all about, at which point they probably already have a means to pressure you in such a way that, again, leaving is going to seriously cost you something. They try to offset this, of course, by promising you the world. But you are not made for the world. As St. Augustine says, "We are made for you, Lord, and our hearts are restless until they rest in thee." A real religion isn't going to hide its full message from you. On the contrary, you may get sick of hearing that message, as those on fire with the faith are liable to blab nonstop about the good news, so eager are they to share the joy that they've discovered. If retro shooters are your thing, and you can handle some pixelated violence, then I can recommend Cultic. Just do yourself a favor and steer clear of any actual cults, as they do exist, even if they rarely label themselves with that term. And that's all I've got for today. May you go with God, may you like and subscribe, and may we pray for one another. Until we meet again.